All right, what is going on, everybody? And we are back here for day number 2 of the season 10 drafts. I'm Rocker Man, happy to be back in the booth with some lovely young fellas here hanging out with me today. We're hyped to get ready for day number 2, kicking things off in the Challenger League. I'll go around the horn. We'll introduce everyone, starting with the mysterious man over there on the far left. We got Flip 1010. Flip, what is going on? How are you today?
I'm pretty good. I'm looking pretty hot, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing pretty good.
We're missing
We
out.
got,
We're missing out.
If we had him on stream, we'd attract too many viewers, and we can't be having that. So that's the big reason why over there. But happy to
yeah,
have you.
okay, I would make a flame joke, but
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. We're also joined once again by Mr. Mallow, back again for day number 2.
Oh man, the grind continues, Austin. The grind continues, and here we are with three leagues tonight. Oh man, it's going to be great.
Yes, sir. We got a lot of action coming your way tonight. 3 whole leagues, Challenger, Rival, and Titan. A lot of draft picks to get through. It'll be a fun night. It'll be a little bit of a longer night than yesterday, just a little bit longer. But it'll still be fun. There's a lot of people left to be selected for today, so should be fun. Also, we got the man, the myth, the legend, back in the booth, Mr. Yeagers. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Y'all are here with 3 leagues. I'm here with 3 studs.
Mm,
So I'm just along with the ride.
okay, okay. I see you out here. That's a good one. I appreciate that. Give us a little hype up. So much love, much love. But yeah, guys, we got a lot to get through today. Once again, we're into the Challenger League where, my goodness, I think it's all these leagues. I think Titan will be the one where I saw the most picks traded in the first round. But by golly, Jaegers, they were making trades. They were wheeling and dealing in this first round to get these top couple picks.
I mean, everyone wants those first few picks. Like real GMs find the gems at the end of the draft, though.
Mm,
But I mean, you want to get a good foundation at the start.
it's very true. Very true. Very, very true. And Mr. Mallow, we got the assassins on top of the board. Let's get this thing. Let's get this thing underway here. Let's put the assassins on the clock here. 3 minutes going to them. And Mallow, there's been some big talk around the Challenger League. What can you tell us here as we are about to get things going?
Oh, I've heard some rumblings on who this first pick might be, but I guess we'll see who that is. I think yeah, I'm just not going to say it because I think it's a gimme right there. Who do you see that as your the first pick there, Jaegers?
Um, it's kind of weird because I see someone coming in. It's not the third round yet. I see Dissa getting drafted first overall. He came down from, I believe it was Rival last season on a very good, if I'm not mistaken, Grave Lords team. Um, so yeah, I mean, Sam's got a good one there, first overall pick, and I believe he traded up for that spot, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right, Austin?
Yes, there was a last minute trade here. The Drakes and Assassins did swap those top 2 picks. The Drakes were holding that number 1 for a little bit, but then the pick swap came out. So the Assassins are gonna go ahead and take Dissa their Flip, who, like we said, we've heard some rumblings. He was trying to make it seem like he was going in the third round, but we all knew what the Sands plan was. So
Yeah, Sam's plan was to give Dissa his roles before he even drafted him. That's how sure he was of taking that man. So that's fair. But I mean, the Drakes here, they trade down to number 2, so you got to think that they didn't want Dissa. They probably had someone else in mind, and it looks like Zaletta is gonna be the one that they're gonna be picking up because they got a little bit for the 1 pick, and they get the player that they want in the 2 slot. I think it's a pretty well played draft there by Seabiscuit.
yeah, definitely so. And you mentioned Zuleta is going to be the next one off the board for the Drakes. So Jaegers maybe looking for the one that they were looking for right there in Zuleta for the second one.
Yeah, Zula is a very mechanical player. I believe he was on the Drakes a few seasons ago, and if I'm not mistaken, he took a little break. But I mean, he came back to playing, and Seabiscuit scooped him right up.
Yeah, no joke over there. And that's one of those people, a lot of times we'll see in these drafts is that these people, they're people that have been around the league for a long time, and they'll get their due. If you've been a veteran for a while, you're gonna get your flowers, if you will. And Zuleta, definitely one of those people to get their flowers there, as the next pick is going to come in, and it is going to be for Dissolved, who I will say Dissolved has been one of these teams that's been making a lot of moves, and they are going to go ahead and select Psycho with that pick. Not Seiko, it's going to be Psycho. I remember that from last season, but Psycho, they're going to Dissolved.
Yeah, that's a good top three right there. Zuleta, Jaeger's mentioned it, a very mechanical player, great to play with as well, fun to be around. So you get that aspect of it too, and of course Dissa, yeah, this ain't the third round, buddy. You're number one. So congrats on Dissa for going number one there. The the teams looking at the draft board here, almost every single team has at least one person signed right now. I don't think there's any team that's blank other than the Samurai. So there's going to be a lot of picks to go through with the Challenger draft coming up here, Jaegers.
Yeah, no, if I'm not mistaken, Psycho was actually on Dissolve's prospect team, faded before he got traded to that championship squad. I believe it was the Banshees. I was just blanking on the name, but very good player and Dissolved. Glad to have him back in the org.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely so there for them, as they are going to get a returning player. That's always good, Jaegers. I know you finally came back to the Evolution org after a while. There's something about just bringing your players home and going back to the org where you kind of started things back in the day too.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, you start with the team, and then like sometimes you go to the draft, you play with some other teams, but it's good to be home. It's no place like going back to where you started. And so for a few of these players, that's certainly the case.
Yeah, definitely so. As the next pick is going to come in from Orbit here, making their first move of the night, top four pick. They're going to go ahead and select Hard Pointy, who I believe was on the Hellcats in season priors. They're going to head over now to Orbit over there, Mallow.
Yeah, that's not familiar with the name, with Challenger and such. I'm not as familiar with the players, but the name does kind of ring a bell, and that sounds like it's a good pick for them. I know I see chat saying it's a W pick, so if chat is saying it's a W pick, I trust them on that. So that's a good pickup for them. And then of course, right after that, we got the Raptors selecting Zay with the number 5 pick. Um, Not familiar with that one either, but Flip, what could you tell us about these top 5 picks?
I mean, so far I've seen a lot of players that like I actually know and recognize from Nemesis. Zay, I'm not sure if he was actually. I can't even remember if he was on a team last season, but I've seen Zay play a couple times and he's really good. But Hardpoint, that really fills out this Orbit roster pretty nicely. I mean, that's their third player on that roster already. That's a really good pickup. Hardpoint, super solid Birdman usually, and honestly, really good pickup at number 4. And then, like we said, Psycho, Zuleta, and Dissa, all really talented players. So far, this challenger draft has been pretty loaded. So you'll have to see. These aren't any diamonds in the rough that Jaegers was talking about earlier. So we'll have to wait a little bit later. I feel like these teams kind of knew who they wanted because these picks are coming in pretty quickly. I think these are the guys. They're getting the guys that they want.
Definitely so, and looks like some more picks are coming through here. Nervebot is going to go ahead and head over to Papayas, and then Flame is coming right back, and they are going to select Moxon with their pick. So, uh, like you said, Flip, these people aren't joking around, and now we've got the top 7 off the board, and Nervebot is going to be going to Papayas, and then Moxon is going to be headed to Flame.
Yeah, Moxon was in the Challenger Leagues last season, 15-21. He most recently he was a free agent, so it's good seeing him get picked up. Nervebot, not a name I'm familiar with. I've seen he's been in the Discord for a while. But Papayas obviously knew something was up with him, drafted him here pretty early on in this draft, actually.
Yeah, I believe Nerdbot actually took a couple of seasons off. Definitely seen this player around. Was trying to see when the last time Nerfbot played, but I can't seem to find it right at this moment. But Flip, what do you have any insight on the Nerfbot here?
I mean, I don't have any like actual insight, but he's the first like 1400 player that's been taken. All the other guys are like 1500 or above, usually sitting around the 1550 range. So this is like the first like actually low MMR player, and taking him at the sixth pick is kind of interesting. I mean, I feel like he probably could have fallen a little bit more, but the Papayas don't have that many picks either. So it's like they had the guy they wanted. It's a cheap player as well. So they're able to fit a lot more into their roster, and I think they're just waiting to see, how the chips fall. They got the guy they wanted, and so hopefully Nervebot, he can live up to that number 6 hype.
Yeah, something else I'll note here, as the next pick has come through, going ahead and select Merely Mental, coming back to Ascension for another run here at the chip. But something I'll note too is when you get to these picks here, sometimes early on you want to try to find those top MR players, but recently what we've seen in the drafts too is there can be some strategy to select a lower MR player, because some of those higher MR players will still be around once you get to those final rounds, especially with kind of a excess amount of draftees. There'll definitely be some MR players, some higher MR players they'll be around once you come to round 3, round 4, especially with teams, like we said, already filled up rosters here, and just a limited amount of picks that they could really have.
Yeah, and go ahead, Jaegers.
No. Ascension getting Mealy back. I believe the last time he was actually on Ascension was a 15-3 season, if I'm not mistaken, Rockerman. I just gotta say,
Yeah.
terrible pick. He's my duo. We play doubles. He's the reason I'm still in Prospect. So good luck to y'all in Ascension, that upper league.
Yeah, I think it was the last time. Yeah, me, you, and Merely teamed up back in the day. Me and Merely have teamed up quite a few times in the past. It's been fun times for the most part. We haven't got the results yet that we've been looking for, but there's something, like I said, there's something about coming home, and Merely. I talked with him. He wanted to come back, give it another try. Me, him, and Hunzer, we've already been playing together a little bit here. It's good vibes. I'll tell you that. It is some good vibes there. And sometimes that's what you need. You need to get some good vibes on your team to give yourself a chance. I think the mental is definitely there, which is gonna be good. It's gonna be a fun season, I'm sure. I think we're gonna have a really good chance to compete. So I'm excited. I'm excited to bring him home. That is for sure. So looking forward to it. Hopefully we can finally get the chip. Finally get the chip that he was looking for. So we'll see what we can do here. As the next pick is going to come through, is going to be not Kairos coming through here with the Assassin second pick of the first round. So Dissa and not Kairos, an interesting combination here, Flip, in round number 1.
Yeah, interesting indeed. And I mean, obviously they still have Sands on that team as well, but they're looking pretty scary, man. It's gonna be a very good team. Having 2 top 10 picks, I feel like the draft this season specifically is a lot more impactful. So having 2 really strong picks like that from Assassins makes this team look really scary. And obviously, you got Sandsbar, the cheerleader, on the bench, so he's still cooking something. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Sands.
You gotta love saying. I will say, I think I do know their last pick. I'm not gonna say it, but I bet you I can understand who that final Assassins pick is gonna be. If I was a betting man, I would know, but I'll keep it on the down low. Don't want to ruin Sans' hopes and dreams here. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting combination there, as Kairos is technically the top player on that roster, but or top MMR player on that roster. But this, what's a little bit surprising, this is actually 1 MMR below Sansbar. So being the first overall pick, it's a little bit interesting to see how that all sorted out with that one. But Jaegers, Sans looks like he's building something over there.
He really is, and Kairos is one of the I'm not gonna say OGs, but he is a player who's been in the league for a while. And if I'm not mistaken, he did take a few seasons off. This is the highest league he's been in, if I'm not mistaken. He was in Prospect all the other previous seasons. But I'm really excited to see what that Assassins crew brings to the table. And if he's gonna go by Kairos, if he's gonna go by the dagger, all I'm saying is that just is gonna be some great casting. A lot of great casting sayings with that name. So we'll just go with that. And another one, Mr. Marco, getting drafted by the Raptors. He does have a bit of mouth on him, but I'm his teammate in another league. Very good player, very offensive player, and the Raptors got a good pick there.
Yeah, you speak of the mouth part, but part of it is part of that could be the mental aspect of it. You can get in your opponent's heads that way, in a respectful way, of course, and you could really mess up their game that way.
Nah, no, Marco, he'll do it on the pitch, in the team chat and in any chat. To be honest, like he'll demo you, then he'll talk to you afterwards. He'll let you know about it. But I mean, really good player, like actually a really good player. Uh, and also another pick going through, stacked going to my team. Uh, we definitely were looking at Marco too. So Stacked was our number 2 option. But hey, Stacked one of my good friends. Been playing with that man for a long time. So I've coached him up a little bit. He was a rival player, not but 2 seasons ago. So we'll get him back in form, and we'll see what he can do.
Hey, we'll definitely see there. As Stacked, another player who's been, like you mentioned, been in the rival league before, been around, so it's gonna be good to see. Good to see him back here, and we'll see what he can do out there on the Samurai, trying to make a name out there, Mr. Foam, and also making a name here. Shout out to Jarhead, who's making the next selection here. Also resubscribing for 19 months. Thank you, Jarhead. Much appreciated. The GM here for this race team. Gonna go ahead and select local Visco lad. One of these players, another player that's been around in Nemesis for a long time there, had a big season in season 6, taking home a championship in that season, also an all-star appearance. So one of these EU players could be impacted by the new potential central server change, which I know is being voted on survey, which I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion about that. But Jaeger's local is making his return here back into the Challenger League.
Yeah, one of the only Scotland, is it? I know there's some beef between Ireland and Scotland. I'll mess up.
Don't get it wrong.
I'm pretty sure it's the Scottish legend. Was a few seasons back he was at the very top of Challenger League. Now a little bit lower MMR, but I mean the Wraith's got a good pick there. I think very mechanical player, and yeah, no, great pick at. What pick is that even? I'm a
12.
little behind.
12 here.
12.
That's
Pick
12.
number 12, yeah.
Yeah, that is a solid pick. I will say local is one of those very mechanical players, so definitely gonna be someone to watch out for coming in the upcoming season. The race, Jarhead, like I said, I've always hyped it the central division GMs because I feel like they've done a really good job, especially last season. Last season was a heat in the entire central division, all 6 leagues there. It was very difficult, and I know Jarhead over there, he's gonna make it difficult yet again. It looks like he's got local Bowser and Panda, and to be honest, as an opponent of that team,
That's kind of broken.
I'm not looking forward to that one necessarily. It could be a tough matchup for sure, but yeah, they've got something cooking over there, Mallow, yet again.
Yeah, they do, and that is definitely a very scary team. I recognize every single one of those players and watched them play and played against them even sometimes in 6-mans, possibly. And yeah, that's a scary looking team to start out with. That of course doesn't leave them too much room for their fourth, but when you got that type of lineup, it's kind of moot in the point that you don't have to worry about potential issues there because I think that's going to be a hard team to beat this season.
Yeah, no, they're gonna be good.
Okay.
They're gonna troll. They're gonna troll a game or two, but I think that team right now, that team's probably the scariest looking team on the board.
It does look interesting, and what I will say is I played with Bowser, and Bowser has some great vibes. I'll give him that. That was a lot of fun when I was playing Bowser, beginning of last season. It didn't end up working out. We ended up making a trade mid-season, but there were some good vibes there. And they definitely got a good shot. If they can keep their mental strong here. I know they had a little dust up with Marky last season, but they made some roster moves now, and Belgian Panda returning with local. It's going to be a little bit dangerous there. And another 2 picks coming off the board. We got Zeisy RL going off the board, and then we got Smegalodon here. Oh gosh, I'm gonna spell
Oh
this
no.
wrong here. Smegalodon. Uh-oh. Smeg's gonna be
Spell
mad at
it
me.
SS Megalodon.
Megalodon. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Megalodon. All right, there you go. It's been a long time. I should apologize to Mr. Smeg there, former manager, by the way. But he does have DM me before drafting in his name, so got me a little shook. Got me a little shook right there. But yeah, Zeisy going to Motion and Smeg going to Snowstorm.
Oh man, did Dan actually DM though?
Well,
You know, did Dan?
I think he did. Dan has a plan. Dan has a plan. We all know this.
Dan's plan's like you're on my team and I'm Dan.
Yeah. No matter what. That's how it goes. I mean, Dan is on that roster, by the way.
Yeah.
Dan is on the roster there, so Dan and Smeg on that Snowstorm roster. So that is interesting. Interesting combination, I'd say.
Especially when Dan was down in novice last season, and he's not the only one that I'm looking at on the list here that was in novice last season and moved up. You got Septune or Sep. He's in the free agency list here. He came from novice, so that's a pretty crazy jump. It's gonna be interesting more for Sep than I think it will be for Dan. I think Dan's a little more comfortable in that area. And who knows, maybe Sep will surprise us, if he does get drafted here. There's some other members on this list that I see that moved up as well, but nothing like moving from novice to challenger. That's always a big jump, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's nothing like making a jump up a couple leagues. The MMR boundaries may have changed, but still to jump up a couple leagues, that is no joke there. So we'll definitely see what they can do in the upcoming season. We also got the final picks here of the first round. We got Dami Boy going to Dissolve, then Sicko RL going to the Samurai. So we've kind of got the first round off the board here. A lot of big names that we see on the board. A lot of names I recognize. Actually, most of these names, I think I recognize almost every single name on the board here. There's only 1 or 2 where I'm kind of unsure of. But Flip, we got some big names off the board in round 1. What stands out to you right now?
Right now, what stands out to me is that scary Wraiths roster with local Panda and Bowser, because I mean that's screaming at me like stay away. Other than that, I mean obviously the Assassins roster is looking really good with Dissa and not Kairos. How about Marco and Zeisy, 2 players that I definitely wanted to draft, getting sniped right before me. So kind of unfortunate, but that's okay. We go next. A very solid draft, like you said. A lot of known players, a lot of big names. So now this is where we find out, like who knows a lot. Who can find the hidden gems. This is where the real talent starts to shine. Second round and beyond, that's where the real draft begins.
Yeah, definitely. So Mallow, what stands out to you as we look upon round number 1 there?
The biggest thing for me is going to be Nerfbot going number 6, being a lower MMR. It's definitely a strategy to do that. The Papayas have a somewhat early second round and the first and the third round pick to go with here. So it kind of helps, get an idea that they've already kind of shaped out their team on the lower half to where they can really start hitting these higher level MMRs. But that's the biggest one for me that I'm surprised on out of that entire list. A lot of them, I think I recognize about half of that list. One, whether it's just being in the Discord or actually playing with, against, or seeing them somehow. So to me, yeah, Nerfbot definitely the biggest surprise, but at the same time, it sounds like it's probably not a bad pick. They definitely got a plan, and I'm not going to question it.
Definitely so. And well, let's take a move on here now, as we're gonna head to round number 2 here, and the Hellcats, who are already on the clock, they were already ready for their first move of the second round. They're gonna go ahead and select another great name. I love this name, Ken the Silencer. He's gonna silence the competition there. Believe he was on the Rooks before at one point, but moving up into Hellcats territory now and he's gonna head over there. I love that. Love that name there.
Yeah, that name's so familiar. I'm trying to find him on the previous sheet. I know he played last season. I can't find him, but a great name. Great name for sure.
I actually just played against him in like a six man
Oh, really?
here, so it's like, yeah, I mean, very good player for sure. I will say, Rockman, he did take your April Fool's joke with the ban as a serious thing. So I'm not trolling. In my tryout, he was genuinely questioning how the ban system was going to work. So, I steered clear for the draft. But hey, he's a definitely good player. I'll say that much.
Well, I guess I gotta apologize. I apologize. It was an April Fool's joke. I did try to put a message
Wait,
at the bottom. It wasn't real.
that wasn't a thing?
We're not actually banning people, unfortunately, Jaegers. It's not.
I had a whole list going. I had a whole list going.
He wrote them all down. He was ready, ready to ban whoever got in his way. No, but yeah, I know some people do get fooled by it. It happens sometimes. That's the point. That's the whole point of the April Fool's joke. If it doesn't fool some people, what's the point? That's why you always click the links. Well, don't actually always click links, but on that one,
No.
on that one, if you click the link, it would have sent you to the best April Fool's video of all time, the good old Rick roll. But yeah, unfortunately, no player bans. Well, I'm sure there'll be some players that'll get banned, but that's just the nature of things. But no selecting players to get banned, unfortunately. But yeah. Well, anyways, carrying on now.
Meanwhile,
We got O'Caliber going to Samurai here, and then Ado is going to be the one heading to the Raptors here for their next pick. So a couple players here. I guess Flip, this is your org again with Samurai. What are you thinking here with O'Caliber?
cheap player, a good player. So it's like the perfect combination. Like one above the MMR like cap. So it's like we still have so much MMR to work with, and we're kind of playing that papaya strategy where like we'll see what big names fall down, which big MMR players are left, and we'll take our pickings at that one. But O'Caliber pretty good. Ado, again, super active member in six mans and stuff. Been really active and really good. Super like mechy, but honestly, I mean, it's a good pickup, and I can see him doing really well in Challenger. I just don't know like how the Raptors team specifically is going to work out because it's already full. Like that's what I'm saying. Like this Raptors team is already full. It still has 58 cap room. Like I feel like I just feel like they could have taken a higher MR player. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that is interesting to look at. Yeah, Midnight is the very minimum in the Challenger League at 1469. So it will be interesting to see Marco Zay. I feel like those two may have teamed up before. Maybe
they have. They have.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
That's what I knew. I recognized something over there. So they got some previous chemistry. I wasn't just making that up. It looked too perfect to not be something I've seen before. So teaming up with Ado or maybe Midnight, depending on how they decide to go. But yeah, there is a lot of cap room remaining. I don't know. One thing I will say when I looked over Challenger, there were a lot of good people at the top of the board, but there wasn't like some other leagues where I'm like, wow, we got to get all the top players off the board. I think there are a lot of value picks in this draft figures. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
No, there really are. I'm seeing a lot of names I know, and a lot of names I don't, to be honest. But you never know with MMR. I mean, it's just peak MMR taken. We don't know where they're currently sitting. So a lot of GMs, all they have to go off of is tryouts and what players have shown in previous seasons.
Yeah, definitely so here as we're moving on. Bazinx is gonna go to Venom. I feel like I've seen them talking in the Discord a little bit here. So Bazinx going to Venom. Mr. LK, the new GM this season, looking to make his mark over there for the victory org. Looks like Yukio Takeda and Bazinx. Yukio was pretty solid last season. I believe he was on Assassins from not mistaken.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
So.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, so moving over to Venom now, and yeah, that's a big that could be a big combination. I don't know too much about Bazinx, but Yukio was definitely a very solid player last season, and I think LK is looking to make some magic happen over there. You always want to do your best, in your first season as a new GM. Gotta really show up and show out.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Yukio got traded over there for some of the picks that got dealt out here. You know, I don't think it was for the number one pick, but there were other picks that the assassins grabbed, so that way Yukio would go over there. It sounds like Yukio really likes LK, so to really want to go that route and just go straight over there and say, yeah, I'll play with for LK absolutely. So that's what you always like to see too on newer GMs that come in, is that you already have players that want to come into your org and play for you. So that's always a good thing to see, and uh, potentially some good things going forward for those GMs that get that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and it looks like, just trying to look at the sheet here. May need to assist the mods for a second. Looks like we got maybe multiple Ken the Silencers out there on the
I'm pretty
board.
sure there were two.
Okay.
So
We'll,
yeah,
we'll
which
fact
is a
check.
little
We'll,
unfortunate.
we'll fact check this before someone tries to draft Ken the Silencer Part 2 on the board. But Hypnotic is going to go over to the Fruit Ninjas org there for the Papayas. Thoughts on that, Mr. Flip?
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not going to the Griffins, with who are like a pick away. I think maybe the Griffins got sniped. I don't know, but Hypnotic and Fort have teamed in like I don't know every single season that they've been in the same league. So it's like those are I can't think of Hypnotic without thinking of a Fort. It's just how it happens. So I think Griffins might have gotten sniped potentially, but honestly, really solid player, really solid pick. Just it's gonna be a shock to see them playing against each other.
Yeah, and to go back while Austin's trying to figure out some stuff. So want to go back to Caliber and Ado here. I know both of these players here. Caliber I've played against in other leagues, and he was scary. Caliber was scary before even moving up in that league, um, to a much higher league, to the to the challenger level, so to speak, within there. Fantastic player, fun to play with, fun to team up with. So that is a very good pickup there. Ado, someone who I started recently playing with, another great mechanical player. Uh, I think he's going to be doing great things for that team as well. So it's good to see some newer players like that, or newer-ish, because I believe Caliber played last season. I believe he was prospect, but seeing these newer players going early is really good to see. You always going to have the players that are coming back, that have been here season after season, the veterans, if you will. But seeing some of these new players, get these early picks too, is always a good thing to see. And with Midnight picking him up, he got a good pick with that.
Yeah, Griffin's grabbing Huncho. Should have that third for the roster, one of the higher MMR players in the Challenger League. They already have Fort, aka Full Time Alcoholic, and Penguiner One, who was actually my teammate a little bit last season, goal scoring menace. And I'm really interested to see how this Griffin squad does in this upcoming season.
Yeah, teams are really trying to fill out now. As I mean, we've had one team with four. We have like three or four teams with three. I mean, these teams are really trying to fill out, and there's still plenty of draftees on the board. So, um, I think those teams like the Samurai, didn't have a whole bunch of players at the beginning, are really benefiting from that. As we, we're cooking with our draft. These other teams are looking scary though. So honestly, the Challenger League is looking really contested. I would say like there's so many good players that are like cheap-ish salary. So like all of them are on pretty good teams, and so it might be It might be a battle of titans, to be honest, because I feel like there's 3 or 4 teams that I think that I can see honestly winning the chip just off the draft alone. And whenever you have that many, like that's just a good sign for a great league season to come. So hopefully, those players live up to their potential.
Yeah, looks like we
But
got this sorted, and I will say Ascension is now on the clock. I'm looking for our pick here. I've got an idea. Looking for a sub potentially, seeing who's trying to get picked up at the moment. But
Reaching out to the community.
reaching out to the community, threw something in chat there asking who wants to get drafted. So if you want to get drafted, now is your time here. So um,
big up step.
I think I have an
Austin,
idea.
Austin didn't do his research before the draft. That's
I
crazy.
did not. I knew I wanted as our third, and then the fourth
That's
good
awesome.
was good luck. So let's see. Let's go through chat.
Find a funny name.
Find a funny
It's
name.
always the best. Yeah, it's always the best way to do it.
So
Alright.
while you do that, Rocker Man, question for you, Flip. Would you say the Samurai are stacked?
I would say the Samurai have the potential to be a great team. If I get stacked, if Stacked is back in his 1700 caliber form, that man hit GC3. Was it 2 years ago? Maybe, but he hit it. So a little bit of coaching, and I think we're there.
There you
Well,
go.
Austin, last time Ascension won the chip, I think you had an alpha as a sub, but
Hmm.
look, hey, you're gonna go with Turbo Fuego. I believe he was on Faded then Vipers, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right.
So,
Vipers at one point I recognize. So,
yep. And
but
coming up is this Bishops roster, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Austin. If Gallium and Quake were still prospect, I would not be on Origin. Because we had a really good run at the end of last season. Me and Quake wanted to play together this season, but the man is too good for me. So I'm really excited to see how this Bishops team does, and I think they have the potential to go far because Quake is one of those really undermentioned players that could have been first team all prospect last season.
definitely so, and one of those players that is very solid. And let's see what they can do here as next pick comes through. Dreamsy is going to go off the board to the Bishops, putting the Drakes now on the clock for their next selection. We'll see what they can do here on this one. As yeah, the Bishops. I was gonna look at their roster here. I think that's is that their third pick?
That's their third.
Okay, yeah. So Quake, Gallium, and Dreamsy now coming off the board on this one. So that could be a dangerous little trio there. As I believe Dreamsy was near the top of the board here, 1548 going off the board for this next selection.
Yeah, I'm still surprised to see so many. We're starting to see them come off just a little bit now, the higher MMRs, but I'm still surprised to see how many are so close together. Though, also, I believe Flipper Jaegers, one of you two, mentioned that this is a really stacked league, and when you look at all of the salaries right here, the top, what is that? At least the top five now. The top five is within like 40 MMR, and then 6 through 10 is, or I could say 6 through 15 is 12. It's a very very tight, compact MMR spread right here. It's pretty crazy to see how many are up there, and you would think by looking at it that there are quite a few that would stick out here as far as who you would want to pick, but really you could probably go with just about any of them, and you wouldn't go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, dang, who do I pick? Because like I see names, I see like Strata, who's also AKA Alpha, very good player. I also see like Louis Saka, literally one MMR above him, also a really good player. I see Hazard. I'm not picking Hazard, but really good player. Like it just there's a lot of really good players that are like around this MMR, and it's like there's too many options at this point. So And we only got one spot left on my roster. There's not a lot of spots left on many rosters, so you're gonna have to see, a couple of these players. Maybe they don't get taken. I don't know. It's looking a little scary.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the nature of the draft. You have to have some overflow players because there are players that will, leave midseason. Rosters will change. There will need to be moves that will need to be made throughout the season. So, it's definitely the overflow is definitely needed. But yeah, we got a lot of picks coming through while we were talking about that. There was 4 picks
know.
at the rapid fire. They weren't messing around. We got Davi
Bam, bam,
going
bam,
back
bam.
to the Drake, Stroudo going to Flame. Jex is moving over from Snowstorm to the Bishops now, and Aeon is going to go to the Hellcats for their selection. So a lot of picks there. I know there's been some drama here and there. I know Dan tried to re-sign Jex, but Jex wasn't having it. He didn't react. So he went back to the draft and now going over the Bishops. So Mallow, there have been quite a few moves made, some familiar names, some new names right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Some good names. Strudo moving up to, and I know I butchered that name, but moving up to Challenger, right? Because he was in a prospect. Is that right?
Yep.
My mind
I believe
served me correctly
on the
here.
Warhawks, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. The Warhawks, old man brain having a trouble here. But great player, absolutely deserves to be in Challenger because very good player. We saw what they did last season. A little bit of controversy in that too, but good lineup there. I'm not familiar with Jex myself, but we look at the Aeon pick here with the Hellcats. They basically picked the lowest MMR they could, so now they're set for their last pick uh, in the third round here. And they can pretty much almost get anybody on the board. They are short. Let's see, they can only get they can't get the top four. So it's looking at the rest here. That's not a lot of players really off the board. A lot of good players still on the board. So I'm interested to see what Cozy Boy is going to choose here for his last pick. And you talk about Cozy Boy also. Cozy Boy did a great job yesterday. This is his first year's GM, and he had a heck of a Spitfires and what is that, Warhawks?
No, not
No,
Warhawks.
Blackhawks.
Or no, it is Warhawks. You're right. Sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
Warhawks. Yep.
Too many Hawks, but
Yeah.
did a great the prospect team that he built up there too was great, and he even traded away #1 picks for it. So to me, it's if this is a preview of what's to come for Cozy Boy as a GM, it's only going to get better for him as he continues to get familiar with this Nemesis Gaming League.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely making a name as now Snowstorm is on the clock here. Mr. Dan, we're going to see what the plan is here. He's running a little bit low on time here to make his selection. So hopefully he can fire one in there in the next couple seconds here. But yeah, there's some big names. Good to see Davi back in the league there. Zavi, or it looks like Davi, Zuleta, and Paranoid Monk on the Drakes there. That trade happened last minute with Paranoid Monk to get him over on the board there. So yeah, that's an interesting team. And then Strato going over to Flame with Moxon and Necroptic there is also of interest to kind of see how what Smooth is cooking over there. So we'll have to see here as yeah, definitely some solid teams, and then Jex going over there to complete that roster with Dreamsy, Quake, and Gallium. Also looking like it could be a good foe over there in what is that? The Mountain Division? Yeah, the Mountain Division over there. As looks like we have no response from Dan, so it looks like we have to move him to the end of the round, which fortunately for him is only 2 picks away. So
Yeah, the Drake's reuniting a little dream team from all the previous iterations they've had of that roster. pretty sure Paranoid Monk was on in the Dragon Energy org at 1.2, if I'm not mistaken. Jex coming over from Snowstorm, uh, Magic Pepperoni, aka Jordan's buddy, a player we'll probably see in the rival draft later on. And Motion, go ahead and draft Rogue, former management member, the Menace. So very good player by that Motion's getting there.
Definitely. So you got to watch out for Rogue. That's the one thing, like you said, the demo menace. Everyone knows when you see Rogue on the pitch, you got to watch out for those demos, and he is definitely a man not to mess around with there, as he's going to be the selection there. And then Zadius is going to go off the board as the last one to Orbit, which is going to throw Snowstorm back on the clock here. So we'll see what they can. We'll see if they can figure it out this time. They had a little bit more time to figure things out. So maybe they'll be able to cook something here as we're waiting for their selection for round 2.
Yeah, honestly, two like extremely low MMR players, Rogue and Zadius. Zadius is like one above the MMR cap. Rogue is literally the like minimum salary. But Rogue, I mean, I had him in a novice tryout this season. You know, I needed one to fill in. Rogue was there, and you know what? He cooked the novice players. So I think he belongs in Challenger. I think it's fair. And Zadius was at my Challenger tryout, and you know, he actually I honestly didn't even realize he's a 1470. He was playing really, really well. Super solid player. But I think Rogue playing in my novice tryout, you know, cooking players. I think that was like it was a sign that he was definitely going to be a good challenger player. So hopefully Motion can get that out of him.
Yeah, definitely good pickup there. I will say for sure. Former management member, good guy over there, Mr. Rogue. So we'll see what he can do. And then Zadius, the last pick there for Orbit to round out their roster. So Hard Pointy, Creer, Critter, and Zadius, it looks like is the 4 over there. I'm not sure if he's going to be starting. I know Critter, he has said before that he is Orbit's water boy. And he lives by that. He loves to be Orbit's sub there. So we'll see. He might be starting with the way the roster and the MR is shaping up over there, Jaegers. So we're going to see if that Orbit squad has got some magic over there.
Yeah, big fan of Critter. And another team in the Central Division. Very good roster that's being rounded out by Zadius, and a little bit of cap room left on it. But we'll see how that goes. See who takes the Central Division over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is a awful division for you to be in, Rockerman. I hate to tell you, this is something.
It's a scary division. I've said it in all the leagues really. When you look at the leagues, there is some dangerous people out there. The Central Division is no joke. So I think last season, did we have all 4 in the postseason? I believe so. At least 3 out of the 4 in the postseason. I think the Raptors just missed. But there we go. Dan is making his selection at the last minute here. I was very scared. I was getting the calculator out. I was gonna have to calculate something out for him and make the selection for him. Thankfully, it hasn't come to that here, as he's gonna make his selection. They're gonna select Hazard with their pick, and that's gonna round out this round number 2. So there you have it, Mallow. What do you make of round number 2 here?
This round, looking at the players on this list, you know, just like the harp back on what I said before, the number of players in between, you know, the top 15 being as little as it was at the time, you know, being like 40 MMR, if that. And, you know, there's so many good players in that list, and we saw a bunch of them go out there. And then, you know, we look at the end, we start seeing the lower MMRs come out to round out some teams. And, you know, this Orbit team, yeah, sorry, Rockerman, I'm very scared for your team as well. I'm very interested to see, because I don't know if they have. I don't know if Critter and Creer have played with each other before as far as teaming up. Some context there. But just not sure where Hard Pointy or Zadius will fit in with that. But Creer and Critter teaming up looks like it should be a good one there. Then of course the Raptors with who they have, and then the Wraiths. Yeah, that's a stacked, and of course Ascension as well. That's a stacked division. But really, you could say that just about to any division here. So with the picks coming into rounding out a lot of the teams, uh, I don't see really any bad choices.
Yeah, definitely. Jaegers, what do you make of this as we are about to move into round number 3?
I do think Dan did get a little bit of a steal at the I guess the end of the round. Hazard's very mechanical player. He was in prospect last season. He was on the Rooks, got moved to Ember. Uh very, very mechanical player. It's gonna fit really well on that roster. As far as scariest teams so far, I'm kind of looking at it right now. Um I would have to say you're not gonna like this, Austin, but I'd have to say the Wraiths
Mm.
is the scariest team for me. Bowser and Panda teamed up last season. Panda, a very mechanical player, has been in Challenger for a while, and a lot of OGs over there.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take that. You know, I love some good competition out in my division. Obviously, I love to win, but you know, I love to have some good competition as well in the race. You know what I say? Those divisional battles, they become rivalries very easily, and I'll definitely say that the race are a rivalry. We mark those games on our schedule. Divisional games, they mean more for the standings. They mean more for your division. A chance to clinch a top four or clinch the division, and you basically secure yourself a free ride into the playoffs. So it is definitely a battle to win this division. And the race, they've been good the last couple seasons. I'll give them that. They have been good. Jarhead, like I said, he's a great GM over there. Definitely one of the better ones we got in the league. He knows how to put together some teams and give them a good run. And it'll be good. It'll be good to see how it plays out. And I wish him the best of luck. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to take him down though. So
Nice, nice.
Some
And
shit.
also, I see. I don't mean to cut you off, but I
Oh, you're
did see
fine.
Jonah M getting drafted. He was. I'm trying to remember what team he was on. There was a really good series back in the playoffs. I believe it was season 5. I want to say it was Jonah M,
oh, the
Snazzy,
barbarians.
and someone else. I believe it
Uh,
was the
yeah,
Barbarians.
yeah, yeah.
That game 7 overtime double
Mhm.
tap to the back right of the goal. The only reason I remember that is because Chipmunk stream in the VC where everyone the VC went crazy.
Yep.
Very iconic goal. And next up, getting Reborn drafted. Reborn, if I'm not mistaken, is that your brother, Austin, or am
That
I
that
am
is
I?
that is my brother over there, and that is not where I expected him to go. I believe that is a snipe off the board there. I'm not 100% certain. I can't say for sure, but I think him and Kairos are twos mains together. They know each other in real life, so I think Sands was trying to get Reborn later on with the selection, but you know, with his last pick being number 49, you know, it's just it wasn't enough there. So but yeah, it's good to see him. He just got unbanned from the league. He's been freed, so hopefully he's on his best behavior and he's heading over to Flip and Foam and the Samurai over there.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was interesting and fun to watch those shenanigans for those picks that just went through. People trying to pick out of order here. No, tisk tisk. But yeah, the some good picks there. I'm not familiar with them, and I think I was cutting Flip off there. Was that you? Flip was about to say something.
I mean, yeah, we might have made an error. Foam might have made an error where he thought it was our pick,
Mm.
and Papayas maybe saw that,
Ooh.
as you can, So it's
Oh.
okay. Just a little bit of
Some that
we just now know who the ops are, and it looks like it's the Fruit Ninjas org, and we're gonna remember that one.
mm.
So yeah, that's all I gotta say. But it's okay.
Although,
We got reborn. We got a solid team. It doesn't matter who we get, all right, because we're gonna be able to coach them up, and we're gonna build the championship winning roster, no matter who's on the team. God, I'm
wow,
angry. That
that
sucks.
that is kind of crazy. A snipe there, And that is why you got to make sure it's your turn to select. I know Foam he's been one of those guys that's been jumping the gun this entire time, posting before I even put him on the clock, which we let it go through because he was the next pick. But like you said, if you go a little bit too early there, your pick can get sniped. So I mean that is kind of crazy. That is crazy to see there. So some drama brewing over here, Jaegers in the Challenger League draft.
Ooh.
Foam just got excited.
Mm-hmm.
He's excited about the draft. Excited to get reborn, and it just bit him. That's all I can say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll have to see. I think now he's sniped another person's pick, so maybe I just gave him some leverage over there over Sandsbar. We'll see. We'll see.
Welcome aboard, Disco.
Welcome aboard, Disco. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that one's gonna quite work out, but you never know. As Snowstorm is on the clock, I'm trying to find someone named Rum. I don't know. need a mod fact check on this one.
I mean, he
All the
is
way at the bottom.
Yeah, very
Oh.
very bottom now.
He's the very bottom. I need a mod fact check on the Discord tag, so I can ping him in the channel. Make sure he exists. Make sure he's
I
real.
think he left the league a little bit earlier today, actually.
You think so?
He said,
No,
"Where's
I'm
the draft
messing.
at?"
I'm just messing.
He has no idea. Let's get a mod fact check though on this one, or anyone fact check. Let me find a name. Muley says Rum Monkey. I don't see that. I can't find him. Someone assist, mod assist. But yeah, while we wait for that, Flying Swan and Inverse, last two picks off the board. Flying Swan going to Venom, and Inverse there, Mallow going over to Dissolved.
Oh man, a little bit of backwards starting out here. Going to start with Inverse. Not familiar with either of these names, to be honest. But LK, another first year GM. He's been making some great moves as well. With Cozy Boy with his first year, or first season. So he has to know something to pick up Flying Swan. I'm sure he's probably a returning player. Inverse is familiar though to me. I just can't quite remember, the ins and outs as to where they were or if they accomplished anything. Flip, is there anything you can provide on that?
I mean, Flying Swan, I know, is pretty solid. I want to say he was in Challenger last season. I want to say he was on the Samurai, and I want to say the Samurai did really, really, really poorly. But I mean, I'm drawing a blank if that's the actual team he was on. But
Yeah,
I
it
know
was.
okay,
Samurai.
that's what I thought. That's what I thought.
He wasn't.
I remember
Samurai,
him. I remember him being on the team. I remember the team not winning a lot of games, but I remember the team being like okay. Like the team's not bad. He wasn't a bad player. Maybe it was like I don't know, a curse on the org. But yeah, he's out of there now. He's moving on to better things, better places. So hopefully he can get some revenge from his not so great season last season.
Yeah, looks like also we do got word. Unfortunately, Jaegers was correct. They did leave the Discord this morning at 5 a.m. So,
Oh, that's crazy.
Thanks,
Look,
Jaegers.
I'm just right.
I'm
just right.
He knows he's got some knowledge that even we didn't have at the time. So, we'll have to have Mr. Dan try again to select someone there. But
Jaegers management.
he's got the insight into the mod log over there. He can see everything behind the scenes.
Yep.
Somehow.
I think y'all just don't understand the Dan plan. All right, that's all that is.
He's getting him back.
Yeah, as we speak, he's DMing him,
furiously messaging him to get him back in the league. So
where'd you go?
We'll give Dan another try here. He went offline though, so I don't know if that's a good sign for Dan here. But we'll wait and see as some interesting things there. I think Sans is trolling again in the chat there. But we'll give him a little bit. Hopefully we don't have to move him to the end of the round. Hopefully we didn't think, oh, this is my pick, I can go ahead and leave now. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait his selection. But they've got Hazard, Smeg, and Dan. Looks like he was trying to draft the lowest MMR on the board. So maybe just trying to get someone off the board at the bottom. Looks like they may have their starting roster right there, I would guess, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, what's his name? Y1WA. I couldn't pronounce it if I tried, but I'm pretty sure he's one of Hazard's friends. So um, I think I mean, obviously lowest on the board as well, so probably just gonna be the one that Dan goes with. But I don't know. Maybe he is actually DMing Rum right now, begging him to get back in the league because Rum is just that good. You never know. It's the Dan plan. You never know.
You never know. But we'll have to see here as they're running low on time. We may have to unfortunately move him to the end of the round. I would just pick the lowest MR for him, but unfortunately, it's not how it works. We got to go by the rules here. So,
And there's quite a few too. There's about seven choices he has right now.
yeah, unfortunately, time has expired. We're gonna move him to the end of the round. We'll put Flame onto the clock now for their upcoming pick here. So yeah, we are getting the end of things here. We're almost to the end of round 3. There's only what I will say there is only 2 picks in round number 4. So Assassins and Venoms are the only ones that are going to need to fill up those last 2 spots. So we will try. We will get through this pretty quickly. Then we'll be moving on to Rival League draft very shortly. But let's continue this on here as we got another well-known Nemesis player coming off the board with the next pick. It's going to be Septune going into Flame there with that selection. So congratulations to him, as I believe that fills out their roster now.
Yeah, it does. That's a good pick. I talked about Sep earlier, coming from Novice, and him and Jolly and who was the third? I can't think of it right now.
Oh, I forgot. I know what you're talking about though.
But their playoff run last season was entertaining to watch. I think we touched up on that yesterday. So I think it was JP was saying Redwater. So that sounds about right, actually. So that him going up to Challenger, even if he is a sub, he's going to help out that team really well.
Yeah, definitely a solid player, and moving up here a little bit is always a good sign. You love to see some players moving up leagues, getting some progression in. So we'll see what he can do over there. As the next pick from the Drakes is going off the board, and it's going to be Die Dreams here with the next selection, going back to the Drakes there. One of the players, a season 4 champion, I believe. No, never mind. I'd stand corrected. That was Alpha that I'm confused with. But Daydreams was on Ascension at one point as our sub. So definitely a solid player going back home, I believe, to the Drakes. Been around that org for a while. So a good selection there from C Money and company.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully, I fully expect him not to go 0-18 this season. With my terrible drafting picks. So the Drake's looking good on that team now. Oh man, actually, now that I just looked at it again, yeah, that's a pretty solid team there with Zuleta, Davi, Daydreams now, and Paranoid Monk. Yeah, that's a really good team there.
I really think Seabiscuit just looked at a previous public player sheet, saw a Drake's team, then is like, yeah, I like this, and then is just assembling the squad. That's all that is.
Hey, you know what? Whatever works. If it's worked in the past, maybe it can work again. So, hey, respect to him there, as we do have a couple of picks off the board here. Coming up next, we got a Yiwa. I believe it's Yiwa. We'll assume that one is Yiwa there going off the board. And then we got Louis Saka going over to not the Bishops anymore, but now he's going to be on the Hellcats for his upcoming season.
That's gonna look weird. Like Louis Saka has been on the Bishops. I feel like ever since I've been in Nemesis, so it's like I don't know. I see Louis Saka. I actually automatically think chess, like chess hall. It's just how it works. So seeing on the Hellcats, it's gonna be a little different, but really good player. Honestly, I think he's improved a lot. I've played him in 2s quite a bit, and God is he annoying. And so it's got to be a good thing. So he's definitely really solid, and obviously just he's just a player that you don't want to play against. I don't know, like he'll demo you, he'll bump you, he'll go for everything that you don't want him to go for. He's just one of those players that just gets under your skin. And it sounds like I'm hating, but this is like appreciation because like
Yeah.
it takes a talent to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a talent.
Hey, I mean, those annoying players, those are the ones that are going to make your job difficult. You know, it's going to make your job difficult to
Exactly.
win, and you know, it's yeah, like you said, you don't want to play against those players because you know those things can get under your skin. They can mess you up a little bit, and it can throw you off your game. So you do need players like that. That is for sure. And the Hellcats looking to get one of those players like that. Now they got Blazin, Louis Saka, Ken the Silencer, and Aeon over on the team. So I'm actually kind of liking that. That's kind of a sleeper roster at, you know, in my opinion, just looking at it right now, Blazing, Louis Saka, Ken the Silencer, it could make some waves potentially out there in that Mountain Division. As I'm don't know what's going don't know what's going on here from
I think
Sans.
that's the very bottom pick.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to clarify here as um he's trying to make a selection, but failing epically at that. So
uh,
we'll wait his retype here as yeah, OP Vision is going off the board to Motion, another good name here off the board, this time going to Motion. I know Orbit was not Orbit, Space Jam Org was getting some good names earlier, but and now OP Vision, kind of like that name. Yeah, he's got OP Vision, so it'll probably help him out here.
Solid name. Almost makes you think of a point guard. Probably. I mean, if he plays up to his name, he could be an assist leader in the next season.
Hey, you never know. You never know here. Is I'm just gonna delete these messages here in the chat. We're waiting on Griffins at the moment. To select their pick. They are on the clock. I don't know why Sans is typing in there. Not your turn. Not your turn. Not your turn, buddy.
yeah, he's got 2 turns. He's
Yeah.
got 2 turns to wait on.
Yeah, he's gotta wait. He's got a little bit of time. So Griffins they're gonna go ahead and select help in all caps with a period. So they're
Is
looking
Mealy saying something?
Yeah, Mealy. Is this a message? Is Mealy?
Nah, it's a player. It's a great player.
Yeah. You know something
I
about
mean-
Mr. Help over here?
I mean, I think he's gonna help Fort actually win a championship. So you know, maybe get over that hump of second place. It might be a cry for help, but at the same time, it might be, you know, a saving grace.
Well, I think this may be controversial. If the Griffins showed up to a match last season, I think they were going to win the championship. But that's just me.
Shots
That's just
fired.
me.
Shots fired out here. So
Yikes! I gotta go hide now.
No, hey, that was a great roster,
Hmm.
and I was a little disappointed that they weren't able to make that grand finals match.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate way to end the season, but you know, if I know those Griffins, those players on the Griffins, Mr. Fort especially, he's not gonna let that one slide. He's not gonna let that one slide. He may have taken up alcohol here in his name, full-time alcoholic 77, but you know, he can get over this, and he can help lead the Griffins to the promised land. Hopefully, well, hopefully not for my sake, but you know, for his sake, maybe we'll allow a finals appearance, you know, here or there. But yeah, we'll see. So it's Huncho, Help, Full Time Alcoholic 77, and Penguineer 1 or Penguiner 1. So that's gonna be their roster up in the Griffins. And well, looking at it now, I'm not too sure. I don't know much about Huncho or Help, so I'm not sure how that's gonna work out for them. But you know, they gotta have a plan over there. I would say, Mal. There's got to be something.
Quality names.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Penguineer, I believe, came up from Prospect, right? So, um, from last season, if I recall correctly, I just don't
Pretty sure.
remember. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I could be wrong. I just remember seeing the name several in either a novice stream or a prospect stream. But anyway, you know, as a 4th Penguineer, great player, definitely going to be a solid, you know, second sub or 3rd player even. Who knows? Maybe 4th will decide to sub out some games. Don't know what his plan is there, but I don't know too much about the other 2 either, so I can't say too much on them. But it looks like a pretty well-rounded team. Of course, we still got Snowstorm coming in. It looks like Dan finally made his selection.
There we go. He's gonna make it happen this
So
time.
yeah, he did. So Dan comes in, and the Snowstorm selects Cream as their fourth player here.
And not the cream we all know and love here, our good old good old team lead cream helped stream out the draft yesterday, but a different one, with an A this time. So that's gonna round out their roster, and it's gonna round out round number 3, and gonna leave us with only 2 more picks remaining in the 4th round here. So we're almost to the end of things. I'm just gonna go ahead and move us right over. We can talk a little bit more about the teams as we go, but let's move right along to round number 4 here as transition over. And you guys can see there is only 2 more picks to be made here in round number 4. So maybe Sandsbar can finally get whoever he is bound to bound to go after as the assassins are on the clock.
Yeah, I
And
mean, he might get a high MMR player like run Dissa as the sub, Lewis MMR on the roster, and I mean, I could see that being a very, very good team over there on the Assassins.
As long as this is sub, I agree. The lowest MMR player usually is not the one on the bench. I think that's what they're gonna do once again. But Sans being in the 4th round just reminds me of him taking all the 4th round picks, and I'm pretty sure it was Rival. Being the only team with the 4th round pick, and those were his only picks.
Mhm.
And you know what? That Mafioso's team, it was cooked. It was chalked. So this one's a little bit different, I feel like. But
Yeah, just a
it's
little
good
bit.
seeing him in the 4th round.
Yeah, he's not afraid. You know what I'll say is he's not afraid to be this last, or one of these last selections. A lot of GMs will kind of shy away from selecting in the 4th round, but Sands, he's one of those people that he says, hey, if I got the 4th round picks, I might as well use them. So he's going to use them there, and he's going to select I am voteless. And then the last pick of the draft here is going to be 5/3 stupid out here. Going to be the final selection for this Challenger League there. So that's gonna round it out here for the Challenger draft here. We'll go through one thing I will say before we discuss who we think the teams are to beat right here. What I will say, if you did not get drafted in this draft, fear not. There's always roster moves. There's, as we saw, there were even some people that have already left the Discord that were inactive. So there are going to be people that will be inactive. There's going to be roster moves that need to be made. Some rosters will work, some won't. So if you didn't get drafted, stick around and just don't be afraid to be active. That's the best way you can get picked up onto a team if you're active in the chats. Give it a go, and you'll have a good shot to get onto a team. So there's a lot of good names out there I see still on the board. So don't be afraid when the call comes to get on a team. So. But yeah, anyways, let's discuss some of these teams real quick before we head to the rival league draft here. Flip, I'm gonna start with you. What is your team to beat, or I'll give you 2 if you need to. 2 teams to beat here, looking at the Challenger League for season
All
number
right,
10.
teams to beat. You obviously got to go with the Wraiths, looking like probably the best team on the board, in my opinion. Other than that, man, it's kind of tough. I like. Um, I don't want to cop out and say Assassins because honestly, I don't think so. I'm gonna say Flame. I think Moxon, Alpha, Sep, Necroptic, they're all like well-known players, all super solid players. They're always gonna be like really good. Um, I feel like they're gonna be a slept-on team. I feel like and they might be like a 6 seed, but I feel like they can make a playoff run. I feel like that's the kind of team that they're built for, and they're a pretty solid roster.
Fair enough, Mallow. Who are you looking at right here in the upcoming season?
I got to go with Flip with at least one of these. The Wraiths. If you followed Bowser and Panda last season and previous seasons, they play really well together. So with local there as a third, that's going to be a very good team. I'm once again, I'm glad I am not on the Ascension. I'm not in Challenger League. And then another one that I would say, the Drakes. I think the Drakes are going to be a pretty good team also. Looking at their lineup, that's a pretty solid lineup in my opinion.
Fair enough, Jaegers. Who are you looking at here at this moment in the Challenger League?
Yeah, I'm looking. I
Samurai.
do think you
Nothing. Not.
Samurai, maybe. I will say I do think that Ascension squad is pretty good. Like no org bias on that. I do know Mealy Rockman and Hunzer have pretty good chemistry, which is why I say that. Another one I'm looking at, I do see Wraiths, Bishops. Um, what else? What other team I saw? There's one that really caught my eye that could be a sneaky pick. I do think the Griffins have a lot of potential on that roster as well.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I will say, I kind of like the sleeper of the Hellcats. I don't know how it's gonna work out for them. I am curious to see what happens between the Samurai and Assassins because I feel like there is a trade inbound that could be happening. Maybe even some moves over there with the Fruit Ninjas. With Jonah over there, I just have a feeling there is going to be some player movement happening, so it's hard to say for sure. But I would watch out for those teams making some player movements. I also do think the Bishops are going to be a good team down in the Mountain Division, and Venom is looking good as well. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes here as we head on. But yeah, that is gonna do it here for the Challenger League draft here. Up next, we're gonna have the rivalry draft. We're gonna take a couple minutes, quick little break here to give our casters here time to, take a break, get some water, do whatever they need to do, and then we'll be back here in a couple minutes for the rivalry draft. So make sure you stick around. We got rival coming up next, and then the Titan League draft. So make sure you guys stick around, and we will see you guys in a few minutes.